What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Betting Show. Me, Sheehan here on Sherdog.com. BetUS is offering our customers an incredible 125% bonus on their deposits for UFC Fight Night Font versus Vera. Use the code Sherdog over at BetUS.com and get $2,500 in extra money to make Fight Night even better. At BetUS.com, you can not only bet on each fight, but they have loads of awesome parlay bets to choose from too. Bet live during the fights, and your winnings are paid within hours. Start the fight at BetUS.com and use that code Sherdog. All right, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in today. I know lots of people have been tuning in over the last while. I have like pressure on me now to give you good bets and stuff, but you know, I'm just going to talk through them like I do every week and see if I can give out a couple of good ones. I gave out a flyer winner last week. It was my second in 3 weeks, I think, but that's good. I'll take it. I won't give the 10 in a row I got wrong before that, but sure, look, it'll be all good, be fine. That was a good one. So I came off. It was Tyson Pedro to win via KO in the first round at plus, what was it, plus 500, I think it was. Yeah, and we had, I'll take off these earphones, I don't need them, hold on. We had a couple more winners as well, with Rafi and Stats, I think, as well. So a pretty good week. As always, please bet responsibly if you're betting over at BetUS or betting anywhere around the world. Don't come mad with it. Take it easy and have a bit of fun with it, as I do, and as I always entrust everyone else to do as well. Not a pile of mixed martial arts this weekend. We have the UFC. Obviously, we have PFL. Will be a bit late for this, and we've another PFL next week. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if there are betting odds up for that yet. I don't think there is. So we will just go through the UFC and give you 5 bets that I think might be good on the UFC this weekend. I'm going to start off here with the first bet, and it's going to be from the main event, and it's just Rob Font straight up to win at minus 135 over at BetUS.com. Honestly, I think that's a good price. I spoke on the preview show. I'm sure it'll be out before this with Spencer Kite, and I think Font deserves to be a big favourite here over Marlon Chito Vera, who is at plus 105. Look, I just think he is a classier fighter in terms of skill, in terms of game planning, and all around, really. And, you know, it's mixed martial arts, so it's not always the classier fighter that wins. But I just think he will be too slick and too smooth. And his box, like, if you're a really good boxer like Rob Font is, and really, you know, now he's not just a good boxer, he can fight all around, don't get me wrong, but that's what I think he predominantly is, and that's a very complimentary thing I'm saying here now. I'm not denigrating him or anything, but when you are like that and someone kind of comes on and comes forward at you the way Chito Vera does, I think that's a big benefit to you, at least short term. Now, if you can't land loads of shots, if you can't damage him, if you can't get him to respect your power or respect your game plan, it can turn very quickly into something that isn't great, because you have a guy coming forward, then you have many problems, and it'll all kind of go to potty, you know. You'll stop throwing your jab, you'll stop throwing your combinations, you'll stop landing those counters. But if that doesn't happen, and if you keep landing them, and if he stops coming forward or is less willing to throw shots when he's coming forward, it's going to get worse and worse and worse for him. And I think that's the way this fight is going to go, honestly. I think Vera is going to come out and he's going to come forward. Like, watching some of Vera's fights, that's what he kind of does. He tries to kind of drown people in pressure. But I actually think it's more of like a panic on people than anything else. You know, I think he just comes forward and forward and forward. He's actually throwing what he's actually landing, especially early. Now, he does up it once he sees that pressure is working. But I think it's actually minimal compared to what some other guys who fight a similar sort of way do. And we have a couple of them later on. We'll talk about them in a second. And I think, look, if you're a guy like Rob Font and the gym he comes from, which is a very good gym and he's very good training partners, if you have guys in the gym like that who are preparing him in sparring, and I'm sure he's done it before, so he doesn't need to just do it for this one, but if you're getting prepared for that forward motion non-stop, and it's not a hard thing for a sparring partner, in my opinion, to recreate, I think it's something he can deal with. I think it's something that he'll be prepared for, and I think it's something he'll be able to deal with. And at minus 135, I think it's a very good price. I think he's going to land a lot of shots on Vera through 2 rounds. I think the mid part of this fight will mean a lot. Because if Vera is still coming, if Font hasn't made him respect him, there could be a comeback from Vera in the second half of the fight. Now, you never know as well. Maybe Vera gets a big takedown. Maybe he pushes him against the fence. Maybe he gets a big knockdown. Maybe Font, wilts to it. But I actually think Font, if you're fighting someone like Vera, even if you're not a big takedown artist or anything like that. Now, Font has a few takedowns and he can get the fight to the floor and he's good there if he wants to get there. But if someone's coming forward the way Font comes forward, why would you not at him to take him down, I think that's it's like a surefire way of not only having some success in that area, but also of kind of stopping their pressure or making them think about the shots that are coming back for him, because if you're fighting a pressure fighter and you're turning into a counter fighter, the counter takedown is another counter shot that can lead to extra variation, that leads to extra thinking in the mind of the guy coming forward, that leads to an extra second for the guy who's countering to land that takedown or land the shot or land the punch or the kick or whatever it might be. So I think Rob Font is a very varied fighter, and if he adds in another bit of that variation, I think it could be a very, very wise thing for him and a very smart thing. So overall, I think I like to pick the guys who I think are more skilled, who are better fighters, and who are going to dominate the vast majority of the fights. Now, sometimes I actually have a couple later on. I'm picking one guy especially who is a one-hitter quitter, and that's why I'm picking him. But in this one, at 135 pounds, I'm picking the guy who I think is a better overall fighter and who is a more skilled fighter. And that is Rob Font. Now, we'll see how skilled he is in 4th round when Vera is still coming, and we'll see, cardio is a skill too, and endurance is a skill, and heart and will are skills as well. And we'll see if he is on him. Now, he does. I'm not questioning him, but we know Vera will bring them out, if he goes that far. So, look, it's an interesting fight. I think it's a good fight, but it's one I definitely favour Rob Font in massively. I'm looking forward to seeing it, honestly, here. Right, before we get to the next bet, I must tell you as well that this week's Fight Night, UFC Fight Night Font versus Vera, is more fun when you bet at BetUS.com. Use the code Sherdog and then get an incredible 125% bonus up to $2,500. Font at the moment, as I just mentioned, is a clear favourite, so get in now, or even choose to bet on a win via TKO or KO to increase your winnings. At BetUS.com, you can not only make the fights even more fun, but you can bet throughout the fights as well. Start the fight at BetUS.com and use that code Sherdog. Alright, the second bet I'm going for here is Krzysztof Jotko to beat Gerald Meerschaert. I was actually listening to I was on it this week, John Annick's podcast, and it's not Meerschaert, it's Meerschaert. So there you go. I guarantee you I'll call him Meerschaert in the next 5 minutes here, or however long I spent talking about this fight. But I was a little bit surprised when I saw Jotko was only minus 170. And I know he maybe hasn't had the best time of it over the last few years for different reasons, but overall I think he's a better fighter than Meerschaert. I think a lot of Meerschaert's hype, not necessarily hype, but when he came into that fight against Chimaev, everyone was kind of saying, oh God, this is the test, this is a real good guy, this is a real good fighter, and he's a very, very good fighter, but I don't think he's the type of fighter that we could have been talking about at any stage of his career being, a top 5 ranked fighter, winning 1 or 2 fights and getting to a title. Whereas I think Jotko was in that position for a while, and, deservedly so. So I look at someone like Jotko and I think, look, maybe it's a turning point, maybe he isn't in that region anymore, maybe he isn't there, but I'm not ready to kind of say that yet, I don't think. I think on the ground he's absolutely phenomenal. We know how good he is there. He's very, very good submissions, hits hard, standing up as well, where, Meerschaert's a very well-rounded fighter as well. Look, the two of them are very well-rounded fighters. I think Jotko's just a little bit better in most areas. Now, I say that looking at what we've seen in the past. I do think Meerschaert might be a guy on the up, and maybe, I don't know if Jotko's on the way down or not. It could be one of those fights. It could be one, and I haven't their ages up here in front of me at the moment, but I don't think they're probably too dissimilar in age or anything like that. But in what they've kind of done in their career, where they've been in their career, I think sometimes you lose a fight like the Chimaev fight, right? and you're gone. And that's the end of it. And we never see you fighting at that sort of level again. I think Meerschaert is kind of... Meerschaert, yeah. Why did I do this to myself? I think he's kind of... he's taken that on board, kind of said, look, I like to be in that spotlight. I know what I have to do. I have to improve. And he's a great head in his shoulders, and he has kind of... He's on the way up now again after that. I think it might have been a benefit to him, all told. And like, I'm kind of talking myself out of my pick here, but I think Jotko there's a question mark about him, but I still think it mightn't be time yet. Especially I think like if Jotko can get a big take on here and get on top, he's a very difficult guy to have in that position. You know, he's a very difficult guy to have there. And just all around, I think it's going to be hard for Meerschaert to get off his striking without Jotko landing a good few back, or without opening up maybe takedown. Now, you know, Meerschaert has a few takedowns as well, but I think even if he does take Jotko down, Jotko wouldn't be too displeased with that, I think. So overall, you know, it's one of those I might think about on Sunday morning and think, oh God, why did I pick that guy? But no, I'm going for Jotko. Might be a bit of European bias here, but I'm going for him to win this one. All right, let's move on to the next fight here, and I am going for another guy whose name I pronounced very badly, and I literally 15 minutes ago, before I started this, I was watching a couple of these fights. Yohan Lainesse, I believe it's incorrectly pronounced, and he's fighting Gabe Green. At the moment, the price on him is plus 105 over at BetUS.com. And I went back, and there actually isn't a whole lot of him online, but I went, obviously his fight with Justin Burlinson over in the Contender Series was on that. Look, if I'm covering the sport here in Ireland, in the UK, and we know about Cage Warriors, and we know about Justin Burlinson's fighting for the Cage Warriors title against Reece McKee coming up here in Belfast in not too long. And obviously you've seen him before that. I mentioned on a previous podcast that every time I heard Justin Burlinson's name from one of my UK counterparts covering the sport, it was always like, this is the guy, this is the next guy, he's going to be really, really good. And, you know, Yohan knocked out Justin Burlinson with a big left hook. You know, power is what I see from him. Like, very, 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 very powerful. And when you look at a guy like Yohan, I'm going to call him Yohan because I don't want to destroy his second name. When you look at a guy like Yohan, you look at a guy like Gabe Green that he's fighting, that's just all forward pressure. I talked about Vera earlier on, but Green is almost worse. I watched his fight, what's his name? I literally watched it just before this as well. Phil Rowe. He fought Phil Rowe. And it was just forward. And it was almost headless forward pressure as well, although he does throw nice leg kicks. He does throw nice... I love his left hand to the body, left hook kind of even to the body. Very, very good shots. But in that fight with Rowe, he was eating a lot of counters. And when you put that together, and that's his style, I watched a couple of his other fights as well in bits and pieces. That's his style, you know, it's not just a fight-specific style to that one. I mean, he's coming forward and eating shot after shot after shot. When you're fighting someone like Yohan, who hits that hard, who knocked out Justin Burlinson with a counter like that, that's bad news, I think. Very bad news. And I think it's a bad matchup. Now, as I say again, it's a point we meet a lot in mixed martial arts. Can that pressure beat the countering game out of someone? You know, sometimes people absolutely wilt under pressure and they can't land those counter shots. They can't throw a shot. We always hear, you know, we hear people in corners, let your hands go. It's not as easy as that. It's grand, you know, sitting in the corner. It's grand for me and you sitting at home watching them, like, you know, especially if you have a bet and I'm like, let your fucking hands go, you know. But it's not that easy to do that. So we'll see. You know, Yohan's only, I think he's 8-0 now in his career, very, very young in his career. Going in against a lad like Rowe, who's, you know, a good seasoned fighter. I'm not taking anything away from him. There's a reason this fight is very close in the betting, but I just think if he can get through that problem early, and we see even against Burlinson, he got caught in the guillotine, got out of it. The fight was on the ground for a bit. Burlinson was going for triangles and arm bars and everything off his back. Loris Hanko did a great job of commentating on it. But when they got back to the feet, Burlinson came at him, and, you know, Burlinson's a very, very good striker as well. He's not, you know, by no means just a ground guy or anything like that. Yohan just let that left hand go, and if that happens in this fight and he lands that big shot, you know, Rowe has a good chin and he's well able to take shots and everything, but can he withstand that power? Maybe I'm wrong now, but from the fights I've seen, from the knockouts I've seen of Yohan, he just seems to have, like, ungodly power. And this is his UFC debut, right? So let's put that where it is. Lots of guys have ungodly power in the local scene. They come into the UFC and they don't. But trust me when I say Burlinson is a very, very good fighter. And if you're knocking him out, you have power. You know, if you're beating him, you're a good fighter. And I think that's exactly what Yohan is. And, you know, this could be one of those ones where he wins it and he's on a different trajectory to maybe where he is now, where he's coming in. You could be looking at this odds and thinking, oh, I don't know about that one. Now, it could go the other way as well, as always. I'm just, like, what I'm doing in this betting show, I'm talking through my thoughts. You might listen to me here and go and watch one of his fights and go, wait, I don't know. You know, his opponent has a few takedowns, which he does. Maybe you see something I don't in the takedown defense. Maybe he'll take him down and maybe he won't be able to land those shots. And that could be the other way around the two. But I believe in that power. I think his power is very good. And I actually think he's good kind of defensively as well when he's throwing that power. So let's wait. Let's see how that fight goes. Right. The next one I'm going for here. And it hurts me to say it, honestly, because Darren Elkins is one of my favourite fighters ever. I love Darren Elkins. You know, some people... They love, you know, the John Joneses, the Demetrius Johnsons, the Conor McGregors, the Khabib Nurmagomedovs, you know, the Fedors, the Steve Miocic, the best fighters, you know, of all time. And I love them too. You know, I love them too. But I also, if I'm naming like my top 5 favourite fighters of all time, I probably have a Demetrius and, you know, other guys I wonder by and just, you know, preference and stuff, as you can see up here behind me to the other side. But I also have Diego Sanchez, you know. I also have Darren Elkins. And I love these sort of fighters, and I think we should all love them. You know, myself and my good pal Harry Powell did a podcast. I think it's actually coming out in the next couple of weeks over in the Severe May Patreon, and we were talking about wins and losses, you know, and how much they matter and everything. And this is a betting show, so this is probably a bad place to be saying that. But when I'm talking about the fighters I prefer, and the fighters that I love, not necessarily prefer, because I prefer the best of the best as well, but I love watching guys like Elkins. So it hurts me here to say that I'm going for Tristan Connelly at plus 140 to win this fight. I just feel like we might be at the last ebb of Darren Elkins, you know, and I probably have felt that a few times before, and I feel a lot of people have probably felt that as well before, but there's only so much you can take. And I was talking to Spencer about that Cub Swanson fight. Could it have been a turning point? You know, how much damage can one man take? Because, you know, his nickname is the Damage. And look, we see Diego Sanchez came in there against Kevin Lee a few weeks ago, and he did very well. You know, so maybe there's some people who are just built completely differently and they can keep going forever. And now, Tristan Connelly isn't maybe the toughest matchup in the world, but he's another guy who can take a lot of damage while giving a lot of damage. Like, he could be the next Darren Elkins. I love Tristan Connelly as well. He came in there against Miguel Pereira, one of my other favourite fighters, and he put it on him and beat him. And his next fight, he came in. Who did he get? He got someone really tough as well in his next fight. And now he's getting Darren Elkins. No easy matchups here for Tristan Connelly. Look, I think a big problem for Darren Elkins as well. I think this will go to a decision. I was going to pick Tristan by a decision, but I don't think there's a big difference in it, so I just went for him straight up. Maybe if you're bet to go by decision, them odds might be out later on in the week, and I'll have a look at the end. I'll see if they're up yet, but they'll be out later on in the week if they're not out now. I just think that the way Darren Elkins kind of takes damage and he bleeds, it looks very bad. You know, when you're landing a few shots, and if it's an even round, you know, damage is scored. We can talk about the judging criteria. Damage is scored very highly, and if he does a lot of damage to him, if it's visible, that's going to count, and it should count, you know, absolutely. And I think Tristan Connelly is the type of guy who, as well, if he can get a few takedowns, land a few elbows, he's unbelievable cardio, he can go, you know. Darren Elkins beats a lot of guys with his cardio and with his ability to keep going. Tristan Connelly is as good, if not better, in terms of that, so I think he'll keep going and going and going, and look, I think he'll win the decision. I think if he is smart and throws in a few takedowns as well against Darren, wins large portions of rounds, especially in the first couple, even when Darren gets back up, if he can kind of avoid him and avoid, you know, I think, as I said again, it's a lot when people kind of gas out and then Darren comes back and he is a gas. If it gets back to the field, I don't think Tristan will be gassed maybe like other people who are big high-level strikers or whatever, and who have landed, you know, 100 shots at Elkins, and anyone else will be gone away and Darren is still coming. I think Tristan will be still there as well, so I think that'll win him the fight, and I think, you know, I think he'll go a long way. But plus 140, you know, look, it's it's a fight. If it was straight up, I'd probably go for Connelly. I think I like Connelly. You know, I like him, and I love Elkins as well. But I don't know. I feel like this just might be the turning point in Darren Elkins' career, and Tristan Connelly, I think, might be a little bit underrated as well. You know, people are somewhat writing off that Mikel Pereira fight, and I don't think they should be. You know, and that's 2 weight classes up as well. Let's not forget that. He's a very good fighter, and I'm looking forward to seeing him here. And then my flyer of the week. Now, on the preview show, I gave the opposite bet to this, and I probably said it other places as well. You know, Andrei Arlovski is fighting Jake Collier, and you would probably think Arlovski by decision would be the bet. I don't know though. I just feel like you look at Andrei's record, right? And he has like decision, and then like he gets knocked out once, and there's like decision. I feel like this could be that one knockout. Now, again, I'll say it, and I said it maybe 20 times for this. Maybe I'm wrong, and I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong, you know, probably 4 or 5 times on this podcast as well. But I just think Collier has been fighting well recently. I think Arlovski's maybe due one, if you get me. He might be due a big punch in the face and a knockout at heavyweight, because there's only so long you can live at heavyweight, even fighting in the mid-range of UFC heavyweights. But Collier recently, you know, he mightn't look it, you know, obviously coming up, what is it, from middleweight to where he is now. He mightn't look like this big, tough knockout artist at heavyweight, but he can hit hard. He's a good technical fighter. And if he, look, I think a lot of the problems as well, and for people at heavyweight, Andrei Arlovski is just so much more technical of a striker than him. He's so much of a better jab. He's so much more skilled defensively than them. I think Collier, having the benefit of fighting down at lower weight classes, has had to kind of learn that, like heavyweights don't have to learn it. And now coming up to heavyweight, he's brought that with him, and I think it really helps him. So I'm going for him to win by KO, TKO, or a disqualification, plus 400. So inside the distance without the submission, let's say that. So knockout basically, plus 400 for Jay Collier over Arlovski. I think it's been a while. It's been a while since Andrei has been knocked out. He's due one, and I think Collier will. Yeah, it's my flyer, so I don't necessarily think it'll happen, you know, but I think it'll either be a Collier knockout or a Arlovski decision, you know, so, because when Arlovski does start losing a fight like that, it kind of goes bad for him at times, you know. When his fights go to decision, he usually wins them by decision, especially recently. So I think if it does go bad for him, if he is losing, he'll end up losing by knockout. So Jay Collier by knockout, plus 400 there. Right, let's run through some more of these bets here. The main event, as I said, Vera versus Font, or a quick roundup for the UFC. Plus 105, minus 135 for Font. Obviously plus 105 for Vera, the over-under. Minus 160 under 4.5 rounds for... and the over 4.5 rounds plus 130. Jotko is minus 175. Meerschaert, I don't know, plus 145. Gina Mazzani minus 180 over Shanna Young, plus 150. Daniel De Silva minus 135. Francisco Figueiredo plus 105. You know, Figueiredo is a good fighter, plus 105. I don't know too much about Silva. Let's go back and watch some more of him maybe, and I'll tweet it out. I'll let you know. But Figueiredo is a good fighter, and plus 105 mightn't be a bad bet there. Mike Brendan is plus 155. Nathan Levy minus 190. Gabriel Green, as I mentioned, minus 135. Yohan Lainesse, if I pronounce that right, is plus 105. Carlos Candelero plus 200. Tatsuro Taira minus 260. Connelly is plus 140. Elkins minus 170. Actually, the props are up for this here. Let's have a quick look. Connelly inside the distance is plus 325. Ooh, that's not bad. Connelly to win by decision, plus 300. So if you fancy that, there's a good one for you. Will the fight go to distance? Yes, is minus 175. I'd probably avoid that one, to be honest. Minus 175, it's not the best. I would go, look, Elkins by decision is plus 140. If you fancy Elkins by decision, go for that. If not, plus 300 I think is a pretty good price for Connelly to win a decision. You never know as well, the draw, plus 6,600. There's been the 10-8 debate has been opened up recently. There's been lots of points taken and stuff. Mate, there's a draw coming, lads. There's a draw coming, so maybe it'll be that one. Darren Elkins versus Connelly, the draw, plus 6,600. So let's see with that one. Jared Gordon, very good fight against Grant Dawson. minus 175. Some props for that. I like Dawson by a submission. Let's see what that is. It is plus 1500. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I gone mad there. Via TKO KO is plus one. Oh no, sorry. That's round one submission. Never mind. Plus 700 by submission. That's still pretty good. To win by TKO KO plus 450 plus 160 to win by a point. So to expect this one to go the distance. To go the distance, it is minus 200. Yeah, plus 150 to finish inside the distance for that one. Janderson Burrito plus 190 minus 240 for Andrei Feely. I fancy Feely in that one, but you never know with Feely. You never know with him, so I kind of minus 240, not a great price, so I invited that one. Plus 110 if you fancy Jake Collier straight up, minus 140 for Arlovski and Chase Sherman. Is that fight still happening? The fight was in and out and everything. He's plus 900 against Alexander Romanov, minus 225. So yeah, that's all the betting for that card, and it should be fun. And if you are betting on UFC Fight Night versus Vera, bet on it with BetUS.com. Can Vera beat the odds and defeat Font, or is Font winning inside the distance? An absolute given. Get your bets on this weekend at BetUS.com. Use Sherdog and get 125% bonus. BetUS.com has been taking bets for well over 25 years, and there's a reason. It's the number one UFC sportsbook with more betting options. Live betting against BetUS.com is your new home for UFC betting. Start the fight at BetUS.com and use that code Sherdog. Alright everybody, that is it from me, Sean Sheehan here for Sherdog.com. I'll see you all next time.